Hello, Mac here, and today I'm going to get about the slasher adversary mode in GTA Online and sort of my thoughts on the game mode and how I feel it could be improved for GTA Online. Now, don't get me wrong, slasher is one of the greatest game modes in GTA Online. I will say it's a great game mode, and what it is, if you aren't sure on it, is it's an adversary mode in GTA Online where there's one slasher and he goes up against at least 7 other hunted that all they have is flashlights, and the slasher has a shotgun. And also, one other thing that's very cool about the game mode is that all lights in the map are turned off. There's no lights whatsoever, so it makes it very dark on most maps, and it's a very fun and just a kind of a sort of scary game mode because it is added in the Halloween DLC. Now, if you want to check out another video I made on like the tips and tricks of that game mode, if you want to check that out, then I'll have a link down in the description to another video where I made where it will tell you about sort of how to play the game mode, how to play it on both sides as the slasher and as the hunted, and sort of how you can win very easily on either side, so that you can make sure that you will win as either slasher or the hunted. So one thing a lot of people have been asking with this game mode is, will the game mode even stay after Halloween? Because it is a game mode that has been sort of made for the Halloween surprise DLC. Like, I think we can all agree on that. But the official Rockstar Games Twitter, a few days ago, they replied to somebody who was asking about the slasher game mode and if it would be left in after everything else is taken out. And Rockstar Games responded by saying, the slasher adversary mode will be accessible after November 16th, and November 16th is whenever all the stuff goes away. So that just kind of confirms it for you guys. If you want to, keep playing the game mode after November 16th, then you can, of course, do that. Now, I do really like the game mode. It is a fun game mode. I won't say it's the absolute greatest game mode in the game, and there are a few reasons for that. One reason is the repetitiveness. While the maps are interesting, while they are maps that we can't get in GTA Online right now, there may be some glitches to get some of the death matches and stuff in those jobs, but any legit ways you can't do that with. So it is a very fun game mode because of that, because you, I guess, can't access those interiors that the maps are based out of, and a lot of them aren't even ones that we've seen in online. A lot of them were from single player. They do get a little repetitive just because there's only 5, and once you play them all, they kind of get a little boring. Now, one thing that I would like to see is more maps, but I will be talking about that later in the video. Now, one other thing is, with the current maps that we have, I think that some of them need to be darker. I think the Slasher 1, which is in the meat factory, that needs to be way darker. You don't even really need your flashlight on that one. So I think it should be a little bit darker. Maybe take away like the fall, because it seems to emit some light. I don't know why, because you'd think there aren't really many windows in that map. You don't think that it would be that dark. Another one that could be a little bit darker would maybe be the Slasher 5. That could maybe be a little bit darker. But I feel other than those two maps, I don't feel like the yacht one needs to be that much darker. It could be maybe a little bit. And also, I don't think that the Slasher one in the FIB building needs to be that much darker. Like, sure, all of them could be a bit more darker, except for maybe the Humane Labs one, because that one's pitch black. But I still feel like the main ones that need to be darker would be Slasher 1 and Slasher 5. Especially, Slasher 5 at, like, the underground part of the morgue. That, I feel, needs to be much darker. Now, one other thing is more maps. Now, like I said, the maps that we have right now, the 5 maps that we have right now, are kind of repetitive. Let's be honest, compared to other maps, other adversary game modes, these get a little bit more repetitive because, you have to check the entire map. Especially if you're playing as like the slasher, you're checking the entire map. So after a while, it doesn't really feel as new as whenever you first started playing. Now, I came up with a few maps. Now, all of these maps are either interiors that we already have in the game from single-player missions, or you can access them in online. Some, and a few have outside parts, but, you can just block those off. And some of these may not work exactly with 8 people, so, some may work better with more than 8 people, some may work better with less, so I would like something like that. maybe limit the max players on these game modes to, some different numbers than just 8. But one that I think would be very cool is the Cluck and Bell Factory. Now, we have been in this in the single-player heist, the Polito-based score. That one would be pretty cool. It would be very similar to the Meat one that we have already in the game, the Slasher 1. But it would also be pretty interesting in my opinion, and I would really, really like that. Next would also be the Life Invader offices. Now, we have already been in there. I don't remember the name of the mission for the Life Invader offices, but I do know that we have been in there. So that one would be pretty cool as well. Another one is one that we can already access in online, and that's the Merryweather Docks. Now, the Merryweather Docks, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a dock, that Merryweather owns. Now, I think there are a few missions there, and I think the heist for the Valkyrie, for the Humane Labs, you do go in there as well for that heist. So, there's a control room, there are a few, different levels, and it would also be pretty cool, it would be a very, very nice map, even like with all the lights turned out and stuff. At night, it would probably be very dark, and it would be pretty cool. I think that this would be one of the better maps that I've come up with for this. Another one is the O'Neill's house. Now, I don't know if this could work with 8 people. I think it's too small for 8 people, but maybe if they limited it to like maybe 4 or 5 people, this could work out pretty well. Now, we have already, been in there whenever there was a siege mentality in there. And yeah, I think that would be pretty small, but at the same time be pretty intense because of how small it is. And there are quite a number of rooms in there, so and I think there's 3 stories on there, unless you can't go to the bottom meth lab part. But even if you can't do that in online, you can do that in single player, so they should have the interior still. And another one that I think would be pretty cool is the aircraft carrier. Now, we haven't really seen the aircraft carrier be utilized in any other jobs other than the heist for the Hydra. And I think that this would be one of the better jobs as well, because we already have the yacht. And I think just something like this would be, I think, one of the better ones, because not only is it out in the middle of nowhere, like it's out in the middle of the sea, so there wouldn't be any lights at all, but it would also be, just a fun spot. Like, who doesn't like the aircraft carrier in GTA Online? And I think that one would be one of the better ones as well. Another one that I was thinking about is Martin Madrazo's house and stables. Now, I'm not talking about the house that, you give him for like jobs and stuff in online. And that would be pretty cool. You'd have people inside the house, and you'd have people out in the stables. Now, all these would have interiors and stuff. There are interiors for the stables, and I think that one would be very nice. And it would also be outside quite a bit. But there would also be some inside interiors and stuff like that. Another one would be the Rundown Motel in Sandy Shores. Now, there is one right there. I think there have been a few missions there, and I think there's even a deathmatch there. And I think that one would also be very amazing, because there's a lot of rooms. It's sort of eerie because it is all run down. A lot of it's been destroyed and stuff. So I think that would also be an amazing map. And the final one would be Mirror Park. You guys know I love Mirror Park, and I think this one would be probably the biggest. And you'd probably need about, maybe more than 8 people, maybe about 12 or 16 to make this, fully work. And while there wouldn't be any interiors really, there would also be just, it's a big map. So, you have all this area in Mirror Park. You have the lake, you have the houses that are being built, you have all the backyards and front yards of the houses that you could hide in, and that's a lot of area to cover. But I think that would also be a good map. Let me know your thoughts on these maps in the comments. Now, whether Rockstar will actually add any of these, I don't know. I would like some of these to be added, because they are already in the game. All they have to do is just dim the lights, which I think they already have that figured out. So all they would have to do is really just get the interior, which they've already designed and stuff, and just place spawn points in it, I guess. That'd be about it, and I think a lot of these would be pretty good maps. Maybe not all would be perfect for 8 people, but at the same time, I think quite a number of them could work with 8 people. Or if they just wanted to, just add more maps, these would be very, very good maps, in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Are there any other interiors in the game, that you would like to see? Now, don't suggest any actual interiors that we haven't seen in missions or in heist or something, But yeah, let me know your thoughts on these in the comments. Also, have you been enjoying the Slasher Adversary Mode? Because I know I have. Hope you enjoy. Feedback's always appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video.